I was trying to tell my favorite joke about trains, but it got derailed. Hey, shh. Welcome back to Not Another Needless Sequel, where we watch movies and propose unnecessary prequels, sequels, reboots, and remakes. My name is Kane. With me, as always, is my co-host, my wife, and a wonderful symbol of the spirit of Christmas, Kelsey.
Aw. Hot, hot, hot.
Oh, we got it.
Hot, hot, hot.
Yeah, we got it.
Hot, 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 hot chocolate.
That was your intro?
Yeah. But what you said was really sweet. It kind of threw me off a little.
Okay, well, this week we saw that Seeing is Believing with 2004's The Polar Express. So what do you think the story was?
It's about a kid who doesn't believe in Christmas, who wants to believe, who takes a train to believe.
And about him not believing,
Do you think I used the word believe enough?
he tried to ruin Christmas for his sister.
Yeah.
That's my number one thing I wrote down, is that in the beginning when it shows his sister talking to the parents, the sister's like, but he said this and he said that, and they're like, oh, well, he was just kidding.
Did it just remind you of your family?
It reminds me of anyone who does that. I'm telling you right now, if I ever, even if you're a kid, if you're out there and you're trying to tell other people what you think about whether or not Santa's real, you you hear that? You hear me raising my fist?
He is raising his fist. Yeah,
Fuck him. Fuck anyone who tries to do shit like that.
I do want
I'll
to
fight
say
you.
that some people are like, oh, I just don't believe in Santa because he's not real. This kid actually did his research because he didn't want to not believe. He just didn't believe. He had newspaper clippings, books he was reading about how the North Pole was barren. Like, he did the work. But I do agree he shouldn't be ruining it for other people.
This kid also, he doesn't get a name in the movie. His name is just Hero Boy. Nobody actually ever refers to him as anything. That's just what it's listed as in the credits. So 3 different actors play him technically, because Tom Hanks does the motion capture and the adult voice of him. Daryl Sabara does the voice acting, and Josh Hutcherson did additional motion capture.
That's interesting.
He ends up getting on this train that arrives in the middle of his suburban neighborhood. It is the Polar Express, obviously, and there's already a bunch of other kids on there. They're, in particular, the only other kids that we really get to know in any kind of way is one kid called the Know-It-All. It's very much his character, constantly has information, constantly speaking. If you know who, and I'm probably not going to say his name right, but Eddie Deason is like, this is the kind of character he does in anything.
I was going to say, he sure looks like that character.
I mean, he's honestly a phenomenal voice actor in a lot of the things that he's done, but you know who he is. There's a hero girl, and then there's the only kid that actually gets a name is Billy. Those are the only characters that you actually get to know anything about that are kids on there. Obviously, the conductor is sort of the other main character. On this train, the conductor is gathering their tickets from the different kids, and
Hero Boy.
Yeah, he's like punching letters on the tickets for the first time that he gets them, and he punches just like 2 letters in everybody's tickets. Nobody knows what it means till the end. But they follow that up with doing the hot chocolate song, and they're serving hot chocolate to all the kids, except the kid Billy, who's like in the back. And let me just say, Billy being in that back cart is the cause of so many problems. I wouldn't say he's even the main problem. I would say the hero boy is the main problem for not minding his business. Because the hero girl brings Billy hot chocolate, because for some reason they were just like, oh, he's in the back cart, no hot chocolate for him. They didn't bring him any. And she left her ticket on her seat. For no reason at all, he's like, well, I gotta bring her this ticket. And he picks it up and tries to cross between train cars, and it flies out of his hand. And miraculously, after being eaten by a bird, kicked up by wolves, going down a waterfall, it makes it back to the train after he's under the belief that the conductor is about to throw the girl off of the train.
I want to say that he is only under that belief because the know-it-all kid said, you know what he's going to do now? He's going to throw her off the train right off the rear platform. They may slow down the train a little, but they're never going to stop it.
Standard procedure.
That is insane. He's literally saying he's going to murder this child.
In all fairness, for some reason, the conductor does take the girl to the back to climb to the roof to go to the front of the train.
Agreed, which is also weird, but maybe he didn't want to hop.
Yeah.
between cars and disturb all the other kids. I don't know. It seemed like the train, which you mentioned this, but the train, the number of cars that you see during the movie changes.
Yeah.
So sometimes you see 5, sometimes you see 8, sometimes you see like 4. I don't know. I didn't count every time, but I did notice that they were different. And so I'm just assuming that the only cart of the kids was the one.
I mean, maybe that would make the most sense, but
Maybe he didn't want them disturbing everyone else. I don't know. But then Hero Boy follows them because he's trying to save her and runs into a ghost hobo on the roof.
and the hobo is also played by Tom Hanks, and I didn't mention it, but the conductor's Tom Hanks. The hobo is kind of like questioning whether or not Santa's real as well. And this movie has the same trope that a lot of Christmas movies can't seem to figure out what to do with, is when Santa is real, the parents in the universe don't know. And it doesn't make sense because there's gifts appearing under their tree that they don't know where it came from. And like, you would know, you know?
Yeah.
Like if you're buying all these gifts and then there's just extra gifts, you would know. But, he's still struggling with his belief, and this hobo's just kind of like, I don't know. Do you believe in ghosts, though? No? Huh, interesting. Anyway, we're about to be beheaded by this tunnel, so you're going to want to come with me.
And he has skis all of a sudden.
He's magic.
And then they are going up this steep, like, roller coaster hill, mountain, and Billy almost flies off until the guy catches him with his, like...
Billy's the...
Or not Billy.
Hero
Boy. Almost flies off until the guy catches him with his, like, cane. I don't know.
Through his trip with the hobo, he makes it to the front car, and he finds that the hero girl is there, and she wasn't thrown off. And in a deleted scene, there is actually... So, in the front of the car, I'm not sure exactly what their positions are. If Tom Hanks is the conductor, there's 2 guys who are, like, the engineers.
Probably.
In a deleted scene, they explain through a shadow puppet show that the hobo is in fact the ghost of a homeless person who was killed while riding on top of the train. I can see why they deleted that. I mean, I know that they say he's a ghost, but it's a little much to go ahead and say he died.
Yeah.
So that's kind of, explains where he is. But there's also, an additional scene in the movie where the conductor explains that he was saved by that ghost. So, he's not, like, evil, even though he kind of bullies the hero boy a little bit. Anyway, at the front of the train, things go really wrong. There's, like, an incident with the light bulb needing to be changed. They almost hit some caribou. They go over these icy tracks that are completely...
I have a mention of those icy tracks.
Okay.
The pin that they have that they need for something flies off and lands into the ice and cracks it.
Mm-hmm.
And they're just slipping and sliding on the ice. First off, why is there a train track on the ice? And they obviously slide off immediately. But then they decide to stop the train on the ice that's literally cracking in the middle of a lake.
Yeah. I mean, they don't know it's cracking yet. It's because the tracks are iced over, which I'm not sure what their plan was to deal with that if the ice wasn't cracking. But during that scene where they are trying to grab that pin that they need for the train's throttle, you can see a working flux capacitor in the background, and that's a reference to Back to the Future, and it could mean that the Polar Express is a functioning time machine.
Ooh, maybe it is.
Anyway, they are able to Tokyo drift off that ice and get back on the tracks, eventually finally arriving.
While the back train cars and all of the other children are screaming for their life as they're going into the water to be pulled out.
Somehow it seems like the kids are fine in the end. Like, they didn't really have to deal with it. The people at the front somehow had the majority of the drifting. Like, because when they get back there, the kids are just like, that was crazy, you missed it. But they don't seem, like, disheveled.
They were disheveled on the inside.
Well, they get to the North Pole, and there's elves. It's like an entire, like, city there, not just like you'd imagine, like, I don't know, Santa's factory or something. And the kids are all getting ready to see Santa. He's supposed to come out and give, like, the first gift of Christmas. But the kid Billy, once again his fault for staying in the back cart,
Agreed,
doesn't get off. And then once again the hero boy, not minding his business, him and the hero girl go back there, and they're like, hey, you gotta come with us. And upon getting up there, they kick a switch which decouples that last car from the rest of the train, and it goes backwards into the town. They end up in a gift sorting facility, and, they see a lot of just kind of background stuff there, which I thought was a little interesting to see, the ins and outs of how this stuff works. You see, like, the elves getting a call about a kid doing something naughty, and they, like, decide to forgive him because it's so close to Christmas, give him a second chance. You see all the gifts going into a giant sack for the sleigh. The kid Billy finds a gift and he like wants to keep it. He actually sings a song earlier in the movie, and it insinuates that Santa does not visit him ever. And that's never explained further. And I know they didn't, it's not that kind of movie where they could explain that, but it's like
this
Santa.
This is what I told myself, because he says Christmas never works out for me. I told myself his parents wake up earlier than him, open his gift, and then hide it so they can sell it for the money.
Okay.
That's the only way it makes sense.
Well, I went with he's an orphan and has moved around so much that Santa can't ever get to him.
Tomato, potato.
No, I don't think so. Upon, being in with the gift, they're trying to hang on to the gift, and they also find that the know-it-all's also in there, and he's trying to look through all his presents.
To make sure he got everything he asked for. This kid is so annoying.
I mean, none of that really matters. None of that really ends up meaning anything. Like, there's not like a scene of like, he comes around, decides he shouldn't do that, or they find out. Like, basically they just get dragged back to the center of town because that's where the sack is being put onto Santa's sleigh. The elves know they're in there, they get them out of there, and Santa arrives
and picks. And at some point when they first arrive, you learn that Hero Boy can't hear the bells.
Well, no, it's when Santa's coming out, because all the reindeer are, like, jumping up and down, and they have bells all, on their
Do they have bells
reins.
and whistles, or just bells?
Just bells. But he can't hear it because he doesn't believe. Until one of the bells flies off, and he holds it, and he's, like, saying, okay, I believe. Which, it's like you're seeing elves and flying reindeer. Like, if you're not going to believe, then I don't know. Do you really need to see Santa, of all things? Like, I think the flying reindeer at least would have done it for me.
Yeah.
So Santa ends up picking the Hero Boy as the one he's going to give the first gift of Christmas, which is, I guess, something that they do every year. And the boy asks for the bell, and he gives him the bell, but
the boy puts it in his pocket that has a hole in it that he knew about.
Yeah, and so it just immediately gets left on Santa's sleigh, which you don't know until later on when they're getting back on the train. The kids all want to see the bell, and he doesn't have it. But the next day, during Christmas morning, his sister finds another gift for him under the tree, like tucked behind everything. And this is like directly from the book, this scene of him getting that gift. And, it's got a letter that says, make sure you get your, hole in your pocket fixed. You left this on my sleigh, and it's the bell. And he can hear it, his sister can hear it, and his parents pick it up, and they're like, oh, it's broken. Sorry about that. But also, again, not questioning why there's this bell.
Yeah.
The film used 3D motion capture techniques to digitally record the actors' physical performances before, putting the digital skin over them to make their animated forms. The children's roles were acted by adults using oversized props to get the movement right.
Interesting.
But I know that you said that they all look creepy.
They do look creepy.
Which, oddly enough, is a common complaint about this movie, and I think it was just very early for the technology. It doesn't look as good going back as I thought that it did. It doesn't age as well. Like, you can see where it probably was advanced for its time.
I agree with that. You can see that, but Shrek looked better.
No.
And, yeah, Shrek absolutely looked better.
Go back and watch the first Shrek.
No. I mean, I'll watch it anytime.
Well,
I love that movie.
We're doing Christmas movies. Speaking of which,
I gave this movie a 3.5 out of 5.
I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 as well. And
and he always says that I hate this movie.
You do.
And it's not my favorite Christmas movie. I don't hate it. I just...
My reason is I think there's a lot... You can see where they had the book, and they were like, all right, now what do we add to it to make it longer so that we can have a movie? Because there's a lot of stuff that's just unnecessary, unimportant, and doesn't go anywhere.
I do agree with that.
Now, I think that a lot of it is them trying to kind of sell, we didn't mention, when they get back on the train, the kids give their tickets, and the conductor finishes their ticket by punching in the rest of the letters. And it's like a lesson that they learned on the trip. But some of it feels unearned to me.
Like the annoying know-it-all kid? got something that says learn, and then he's like, oh, no problem, and then he's normal. Get out of town.
I can see where his lesson was supposed to be, like, maybe learning humility, which Santa says to him when he meets him, but
He does, but still.
you know, but like the hero girl, hers says lead, and I didn't see her as a leader. Like, her big arc was that she keeps getting asked if she's sure about things, and she's not sure until the very end. Like, you know, they ask something about, are you sure you can get the hot chocolate to the kid in the back? And she just stands there and doesn't say anything. She's not sure what to do. Are you sure this is the break? And she's like, I guess not. And then, are you sure the sound is really down that way? Because she's hearing the bells. And I'm not feeling like you're a leader now because you're suddenly sure of yourself. Maybe confidence would have been
the
better.
only ones that make sense is Hero Boys, which is belief.
Yeah.
Because that's what his entire trip was for. Belief.
Yeah.
I don't hate the movie. I don't like it visually. I think that is a wild ride for a train. And the conductor is a little hateful at times.
I think that's just Tom Hanks, like...
Yeah.
You know, when he gets animated in movies, that's how he...
talks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, it's still good.
Okay, I'm going to read to you these short little movie reviews, and you can tell me if it's from this movie or a different movie. You don't have to guess the other movie. I mean, you can if you want to. But...
Are all of these Christmas movies?
Yes.
All of these movies are Christmas movies. Okay.
Yes.
Ones that I've seen.
Yes.
Okay.
The whole movie feels like an extremely long video game cutscene. Like, it feels like you should be able to control it, but you can't. You just have to watch the chaos.
Polar Express.
Yes. When my 4-year-old niece just said, I did like it, but it wasn't very good, she really deconstructed film criticism in one fell swoop.
That is not from this. It's from Elf.
No, it's the Santa Claus. I really thought Tom Hanks was going to toss that little girl off the fucking train.
Well, that's Polar Express.
Yeah. This walked so Joker could run.
It's not the Polar Express.
No.
It's this walked so the Joker could run. The Santa Claus.
It's Christmas Vacation.
That's so good.
You're not going to get this last one.
Okay.
I love how little shits anyone gave in the 80s. Also, children should die more in movies.
Die Hard.
No. Could it be Polar Express?
It's not.
It's Gremlins.
Oh. That's not a Christmas movie.
Absolutely is.
I thought it was a Halloween movie.
No, it's a Christmas movie.
Ugh.
Every year I'm like, can we watch Gremlins? And you're like, no.
Still no. You said I'd seen them all, remember?
You've seen Gremlins because you complained about how many times you've seen it.
Yeah. That's true.
Producer Gary Goetzman revealed in January 2024 with an interview with comicbook.com that a sequel to The Polar Express was being worked out, indicating the project may have entered development.
Oh.
What's your sequel?
My sequel is called The Polar Express. Why? What was that look for?
How are you going to differ? Are you remaking it or is it a sequel?
Well, I don't know. I guess if you shut up, you'd learn.
Okay.
It's going to be like a soft reboot, but a possible continuation.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
You'll see what I'm talking about as I get into it. It's been many years since Hero Boy rode on the Polar Express, and he's continued to believe all of these years. He can still hear the bell ringing even as an adult, even though nobody else around him can. He keeps as much to himself as he did. He keeps to himself as much as he did in the original. I felt like he was trying to help in the original, but other than that, he kind of just minded his own business. Anyways, he is living alone as a 30-something-year-old single guy with no kids and a job that he doesn't really like. My guess is lawyer in the big city. He goes out with his friends and then stays much to himself otherwise. Christmas Eve night, after working late and having a beer with the friends, he hears the train pull up outside. He goes outside, much like the last time, and the conductor is there yet again telling him to get on the Polar Express. He gets on board for yet another ride. The rest of the movie is going to be him following the conductor and seeing the trip from the conductor's perspective. While the train ride will still have its bumps in the road, it's nothing that him, the conductor, and a little Christmas magic can't handle. And that's my reference to the hobo.
The Christmas magic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, if the train goes off the tracks, theoretically it would I don't think it's just gonna, a train weighs too much and it would just break the ice, but that's not my business. Anyways, Christmas magic. They arrive safely at the North Pole in time for Santa Claus to pick the child who will receive the first gift. Only before the conductor takes him to meet Santa privately, who asks to see the bell. Hero Boy pulls out the bell to show him and how he has continued to believe all of these years. The proposition of a lifetime for Hero Boy is that they want him to be the new conductor of the Polar Express, which he gladly accepts. In the off time of the year, he'll be helping behind the scenes at the North Pole. On the way back from the North Pole, after, the kid opens the gift, whatever, the conductor disappears into thin air, and the Hero Boy finds himself wearing the conductor outfit, dressed as if he was the conductor all along.
What do you reckon something like that pays?
I don't know.
All right.
See, I think he was the conductor the whole time.
Here we go.
Time travel.
Here we go.
Did you not like it?
Yeah.
It seemed like you liked it.
My sequel is called The Polar Express.
Oh, how are you going to differentiate that?
It's a live-action sequel.
How are you going to differentiate it?
Maybe if you shut up.
Oh, okay.
It's a live-action sequel to the original.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Hanks plays an old man who is the Hero Boy, or Chris. I didn't just give him that name either. There's supplemental material that actually does name all the characters, just not anything in the movie. So his name's Chris. Chris lives in New York City and is out shopping for Christmas just a few weeks before Christmas Eve. The busy shopping centers are full of pushing, shoving, and arguing. Chris finds himself in the same mood as everyone else, as he just wants to get what he needs and be home to enjoy Christmas with his family. Christmas with his family. Chris still believes in the spirit of Christmas and can even hear his prized bell that we see he still carries with him, but that doesn't prevent him from getting caught up in the madness of Christmas shopping. Chris sees a toy train set in the store with the words Polar Express on it, and for a moment questions if his memory from all those years ago is real or if he's just getting old. He calls his wife while still busy in the store, and while trying to talk to her about it, she brushes him off as she is also busy, which just further sours his mood. He wonders why he never saw the train again. Why can't anyone else hear the bell? He tried time and time again to find the others he met on the train and never could. After years of holding on to this childish belief, he finally questions it and looks around at all the anger and hate in these busy times and thinks Christmas is just about gifts, and he's held on to this for too long. He gets what he needs and returns home practically a new man. That night, Chris awakes to a loud rumbling outside of his home. He gets up trying to wake his wife, who is seemingly oblivious to the noise. He looks outside and sees the Polar Express. Chris sighs and lays back down, complaining about stupid dreams. Bells continue to go off outside, and he just buries his head in his pillow. The train lets out a loud whistle. Fine, Chris says, and gets up and goes outside and mocks the train, saying that he knows he'll wake up eventually, so let's get this over with. When he looks around, there's no conductor, and through the window he sees no children, so he boards the train. The train takes off, and he sits, waiting to wake up. The train makes several stops seemingly around the world, showing different cultures and how they celebrate their own traditions around this time of the year. Chris, not willing to admit he sees more to the holiday through these visits, gets up and plans to ask where the ride will end. But as he journeys to the front of the train, the door seems to lock in front of him and then behind him, leading him to climb on top of the train. He meets the hobo once more, and the hobo calls him a doubter and attempts to prove to him this is real by showing him the children he once met as adults. And upon seeing where they are now, he starts to see that this is real, but the hobo warns him that the Polar Express has no crew, and therefore it's on its last trip. Chris thinks that's horrible, but also laments that kids need to grow up anyway and see the way of the world. Seeing is believing, says the hobo before he shoves Chris off the train. Chris falls to what he believes is his death before landing inside a sleigh with Santa Claus. Santa scolds Chris for who he is becoming and hands Chris his bell that he had thrown away after his change of heart. When Chris touches the bell, he is flooded with memories of staying up late as a child to catch Santa and the feelings the holidays used to give him. Santa tells him that people all over feel the same way he does, and that's why the Polar Express is so important. It helps remind people that it's not about gifts or Santa or even about Christmas. The holiday spirit is about love and being together. Santa asks Chris to take the place of the conductor on the Polar Express tonight, and that time works differently with the Polar Express, so he need not worry about missing his own family. Chris agrees and suddenly finds himself back on the train dressed in a conductor's outfit as the Polar Express makes its first stop. It's the hero girl from the first movie, only she is still a child. This reveals that Chris has always been the conductor, traveling through space and time to bring Christmas spirit to those who need it. This is just his maiden voyage.
Pretty similar sequels if you ask me.
I mean, I outright said he is absolutely the conductor and always has been.
I know, but that's what I said, dressed as if he was the conductor all along.
Seems like you tickled at the idea.
I didn't tickle.
I grasped it by the teeth.
Oh, you did. Same title, same ending. Pretty wild stuff.
I mean, I also went back to the first movie. It's technically a prequel.
So is mine if he was the conductor all along.
Mine showed that it was a prequel. You didn't have to think about it. Yours is a bit of a thinker. Anyway.
Christmas magic, my ass.
Chris. Miss Magic. Get it?
Mm-hmm.
Because his name is Chris.
I don't care what his name is.
Thank you so much for listening. We do so appreciate it. If you want to talk movies with us, you can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Letterboxd, Threads, and Twitter. We are NansPod everywhere.
NansPod?
If you'd like to vote on whose sequel idea was the best, come by our YouTube channel for the polls, or let us know your idea with a comment, tweet, or you can reach us at needlesssequel@gmail.com. Links, as always, will be wherever you are listening. If I could ask you for one thing, it's to share a show with someone and leave us a review. That is how we get new listeners. Of course, I also ask that you come back for more Needless Sequels. Next week, we're watching 4 Christmases on Max. And today I want to close with Loki's final line in Avengers Infinity War. I assure you, brother, the sun will shine on us again. Take care of yourselves, everyone. We will see you next week.
Bye!